This conference will now be recorded.
Let me call to order the July 3rd, 2024 Committee of the Whole meeting of the Pottstown Borough Council. Would you rise for a moment of silence, followed by the pledge to the flag? Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Is my mic on?
Okay. Corson's doing the presentation.
Can you, yeah, well, there's a proclamation.
Corson's gonna do it? Yeah, you.
Okay. Great. Mr. Corson, I think you have a presentation to make. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you again.
Is the mic on?
Thank you, Borough Council or Mayor, for allowing us to do this for the Honorable Chief James Rogers. Before I bring up the politicians, I would like to say to the family, as you know, as I said at the service, he was an icon in our community. He was a trailblazer. And for him to take the job as the chief of police, coming through the civil rights era, the 60s, the assassination of Dr. King, Malcolm X, the civil rights movement, and President Kennedy, for him to take this position in this community, to me, that was very brave. And he was, with our country, all the troubled waters our country was going through, he was a bridge in Pottstown over troubled waters for this community. And also, it took a lot of bravery for him to take this position. And he knew one thing that we know, that you have to be better than everybody else when you take a position, especially a public position. So he also knew that by taking the position, he was paving the way, he was being a trailblazer for a generation that's coming behind him. So that being said, we have some politicians here. We have our mayor who's going to do a proclamation, and we also have State Representative Joe Cerisi, and our Honorable Senator Tracy Pennicott had a death in the family, so she could not be here. So I believe Joe Cerisi is going to take the place. I'm not done. Joe Cerisi is going to take the place of Senator Pennicott, and we have the Honorable, my favorite, I know I'll probably get in trouble for this, you know, but my favorite, Congresswoman Madeline Dean, with a special presentation to the family. Thank you.
Thank you. So, start with Stephanie. Okay, so, Mayor.
Good evening. Thank you so much for being here. I am so distraught that I never got to meet Chief Rogers, and I've heard so many wonderful things about him. So I'm really honored to present on behalf of the borough this proclamation to the family of Chief James Earl Rogers. Whereas James E. Rogers was born on September 9th, 1934, to Violetta Leola and Osborne Rogers of Williamstown, North Carolina, and was raised and lived most of his adult life here in the borough. Whereas James honorably served in the United States Air Force from 1954 to 1962, where he rose to the rank of Staff Sergeant. And whereas after dutifully serving his country, James joined the Pottstown Police Department with 5 years as a sergeant, 1 year as captain, and eventually the chief of police from 1974 to 1991. And whereas as chief, James created several instrumental and impactful initiatives and instituted a crisis intervention service, a crime prevention unit, and a police award program. And whereas amongst all other accomplishments, Chief Rogers was a recipient of the department's Medal of Valor Award, received recognition from the International Police Chiefs Association, the Fraternal Order of Police, the National Organization of Black Law Executives, the Jewish War Veterans, and a United States Navy Recruiting Award. Whereas upon retiring from the police force, he continued his passion and drive to help the community by establishing the Interfaith Community Development Corporation with a goal to assist low-income families in need. Now, there be it resolved that the Borough of Pottstown joins the Earl family, loved ones, and the community in honoring and remembering Chief James E. Rogers.
I'll call it on. Congresswoman Dean, would you like to add anything? Oh, okay.
We wanted to get to the main event.
Well, thank you very much, and I'm glad I was able to make it. As you know, we are in the middle of negotiating a budget. We're home for 2 days and back to Harrisburg, so thank you for having us. That's what you're missing out on, Congresswoman. I know you loved these times when you did it. But, you know, this is an honor to be able to honor someone who did so many great things for the Pottstown community, and as I read his resume, I was blown away by a few things. Number one, he was a singer and a tuba player. Which my passion, of course, is music. But, you know, playing the tuba, I don't know how they do it, especially when you march in the band with a tuba. But he was ahead of his time. He was about affordable housing, reading literacy. These are programs that even today we are struggling to see happen in our communities. And to know that he was a trendsetter in this community and how much Pottstown was a trendsetter years ago and continues to be a trendsetter really says a lot for the man that he was. And I always feel the same way as our mayor does. I'm sorry I didn't have an opportunity to get to know him and to meet with him. But when I read his resume, it really was moving to see that for the Pottstown community. So I have two citations. One is from the House of Representatives, from all 203 members of the House. I won't read it. It's hereby, thereby. It's almost similar to what the mayor said. But recognizing his service to our community, from a state level to everybody in the House, where it was recognized on the floor, and we did vote on it. And the second one, on behalf of the senator who had a death in her family and I think had to travel out to Missouri tonight or tomorrow, I wanted to present you also the citation from the senator that was read within the Senate, both of which the governor of the state is aware of and passes on the condolences. So again, I'm sorry, but I don't know who I'm presenting to. I'll give it to you, so thank you.
Before Congresswoman Madeline Dean does her presentation, I'm going to tell a quick story to the family. When I first heard of his death, I got phone calls from Marsha Levin-Gooder's HR chairman. She's ducking back there. And Annette Cobb, executive committee member of the NAACP. They said, Johnny, we got to do something for our chief. And as the president of the Pottstown NAACP, I basically follow orders. The members, they tell me what they want to do, what tell me, Johnny, you got to go do this, you got to do that. So I just follow orders. So I'm sitting at the house, and I'm getting these phone calls. We got to do something special for the chief. We got to have the flags flown half-mast in Pottstown. You got to call the mayor, you got to call Joe Cerisi, you got to call Madeline Dean, you got to. So I'm like, okay, so I send this email out to 30 or more people. And one email comes back, Chief Mick. He says, Johnny, I don't want to put you out there in front of everybody in plain words, but you know there's only 2 people who can say the flag can be flown at half-mast, and that's the governor or the president. So I said, oh, man. So I had to send an email back out to everybody, apologizing, saying, hey, you know, but it was Annette Cobb and Marshall Levengood. But I got caught up in the moment because he means so much to me. But why I said Congresswoman Madeline Dean is my favorite is because she listened. She knew how important he was to this community. And for me to say that I want the flags flown half-mast and that couldn't happen, I let her take over. You don't mind if I stand here?
I want you to stand here. Do you mind holding the flag for me? It's my honor to be here. So to the Borough Council, Borough Manager, Madam Mayor, I'm so pleased to be here with you tonight to honor this extraordinary public servant, the chief, the former chief. I got to know him because of you. The only reason I know of him and of his excellence and what he brought to this community, as you said, a trailblazer, is because of this president. Johnny Corson is that same kind of guy who's just constantly looking out for community. And so when I heard the story of this extraordinary former chief, the trailblazer, first African-American chief, I believe, if I'm correct. And only. Who cared about equity, treating people fairly in this community, making sure there was opportunities for all, about affordable housing. It's sadly timeless where he was and what he was leading on and what he was trailblazing on. So I knew he got into the flag problem, and so what we were able to do, and it's my distinct honor, was to have this flag flown above the United States Capitol in honor of the late chief. And we have a certification to show that that actually took place. And I also brought a small certificate of special congressional recognition that I'd like to read for the family in memoriam of James Earl Rogers, Sr. The United States House of Representatives is proud to honor those individuals who contribute to, wish I'd known them, feel like I did, to the betterment of our country through their community service. James Earl Rogers, Sr. was a loving husband and father, a pioneer in the Pottstown community. For the entirety of his life, he served his country and the Pottstown community, first as a staff sergeant in the United States Air Force, then as a police officer in Pottstown, where he rose to the rank of chief. As the first black chief of Pottstown Police Department, he instituted the Crime Prevention Unit, and it was instrumental in developing community relationships for which he was nationally recognized. Upon retirement, he continued his service to the community and developed the Interfaith Community Development Corporation to assist low-income families. His dedication is commendable and will have a lasting impact and already has a lasting impact on the Pottstown community. It is therefore my honor, it is my privilege to recognize and pay tribute to James Earl Rogers, Sr. for an honorable life and career, and to extend my condolences to his family. Signed by me, Madeline Dean. Thank you.
Does anybody in the family would like a few words before we close out? Is that okay?
Yeah.
Anybody in the family would like to speak?
Oh, I got it. So I want to say thank you to all of the individuals who've honored my father. My father had a choice to serve anywhere, and as you heard, he chose to serve Pottstown, and he chose to take care of the people that he cared about most. We really, from the family, really appreciate you all taking the time. Johnny, thank you for spearheading this and putting this all together. It means a great deal to all of us. Thank you very much.
Hello, everyone. First of all, I'd like to say thank God for giving us life and that we're able to be here today. All praises be to God. Just two things I'd like to mention about my dad. When he became a cop, I don't know how many people in here remember, but Industrial Highway used to be called Water Street, and there were homes along there. That was my father's first beat.
He loved motorcycles, hated walking. So he developed a role where Pottstown Police Department had a safety officer, which they should still have in the schools today, and that got him a Harley. So I just wanted to mention, we've been missing that point, but that's just one of the accomplishments that I'm kind of proud of with my dad, He got tired of walking along that river. Okay? And I just want to thank again everyone for everything that you've done, the blessings you bestowed upon my family. Johnny, thank you for seeing me out there cutting grass and stopping and us having conversations and getting this together. And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Honestly, what I want to do is I want to just thank every single one of you in this room tonight. My grandfather really touched a lot of people, and over the last couple of years when I got to take care of him, I got to see how many people he really impacted. But the biggest thing for me, those days that I would sit with him and make sure he ate and all that, what I really recognized is how much he really loved community, how much he loved people, He's a trailblazer, an icon, a symbol of Black excellence. Just excellence all around. And the biggest thing that he loved was family. And he always wanted people to be together, no matter the color, no matter any of that. So what I would encourage everybody to do, whatever beef we may have or whatever issues we may have, if we all love him, let's do what he would do. Let's put all that down to the side. Let's love one another, because that's what he was all about, love. One of our last conversations was about love. And that's what we got to get back to. I'd like to thank Pottstown and everybody here for paying tribute, for giving us our blessings, and keep town alive. Thank y'all. Love y'all.
Anybody else? All right, thank you. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you all for participating in this historical event. And hopefully he can inspire us to move forward.
You know what, if there's no one else talking, I'd like to give it a standing ovation.
Yes. Good job. I don't have to stay for them.
Okay. Under subcommittee reports, the emergency services, anything to add, Chief Hand? I don't see him.
My report will be ready Monday because of the holiday week, but I'm sure everyone's aware we'll have firework issues this weekend. Bear with us.
And where should they watch their fireworks?
At the Memorial Park.
Yeah, not in your front yard.
Ha.
Okay, infrastructure, Councilor Lebedinsky?
It's in the packet.
Got it. And transportation.
There's not a meeting.
Ordinance review while I have.
Just got postponed. I believe we'll have it.
Yes, okay. Human relations, Ms. Levengood.
Good evening, councilors, council president, and Madam Mayor. I want to take an opportunity. I know Johnny stepped outside, but we do have another commissioner here, and I just kind of wanted to ask Tammy Votner to stand, please. Johnny Carson's here. I do know Bobby, they were all going to try to make it tonight, but they couldn't. There's Johnny. So just like to put have everybody put a face with the name. You don't always see the commissioners, so some of us were here tonight, and I just thought I'd take the minute to let you put faces with names.
Absolutely.
Okay? And also Lisa, she's a commissioner too. So. All righty. July the 4th is tomorrow. It's Independence Day. It commemorates the adoption of the Declaration of Independence by the Second Continental Congress in Philadelphia on July the 4th of 1776. The Founding Fathers declared the 13 colonies were no longer subject to British rule, establishing the United States of America. July is National Ice Cream Month, and National Ice Cream Day is the third Sunday, which is July the 21st. The Commission's next meeting is Tuesday, the 9th of July, 2024, at 6 p.m. in Council Chambers, and all are welcome to attend. Thank you.
Thank you.
From the library, anything to add?
No one from the library board tonight, but one of the members there, Dennis Arms, did pass on a message that he would like me to read. The library is beginning to search for an executive director, and library staff has continued to go above and beyond to serve the community. For those of you that aren't aware, Mindy Lipsky did resign from the library as the executive director to take a position with Lansdale Public Library.
Okay. And from the Ricketts Community Center, anything to add?
There was nothing reported this month. So just last month, report is ongoing.
Very good. Pottstown School District, Counselor Lindsay.
Okay, I have a little bit. Grades 6 through 12, Pottstown Middle School Girls Wrestling Team workshop is July 29th and August 1st, Monday through Thursday, 9:30 a.m., 12 p.m. And then it's just girls learning how to wrestle. And one of our Pottstown High School graduates, Darius Smallwood, is he was on track and field with the Olympics trials and the semifinals of the 800-meter run in the Olympics. So that's kind of cool that somebody from Pottstown is, doing the Olympics. I didn't follow up, so I'm gonna see how he made out. But anyway, I thought that was pretty cool, but I'm done.
Good. Let me see here, Solicitor, Mr. Garner.
Thank you, Mr. Weand. It was an impossible act to follow regarding Chief Rogers, but we'll talk a little bit of ethics and State Ethic Act requirements as a refresher. I think you're all familiar with the requirement under the State Ethics Act to file a statement of financial interest every year by May 1st. It's a standard form that public officials and public employees have to file and submit to the Borough Secretary. That's one way we deal with the Ethics Act, but there is another way, and that's where situations where counselors or public officials have conflicts of interest. And I always take the position that you're here as an elected official, and therefore you're obligated to vote on the issues. And you can vote yay or nay, but there are times when you can't vote. And when you can't vote, it's because of either a conflict of interest or the appearance of a conflict of interest. And in those situations, as has happened before at this meeting, if there is a conflict, the counselor would abstain and is required to fill out a form, explain why they're abstaining, and submit that to the Borough Secretary. We have those forms on file, so you would do that. So the question is, what is a conflict of interest? And actually, it's pretty simple until you look at all the definitions in the Ethics Act. But basically, a conflict of interest is when a public official uses their office or authority or position for a private pecuniary gain and benefiting either themselves, their family, or a business that the family's associated with. So all of those terms that I just used are defined in the Ethics Act. But what is the definition of an immediate family member? Well, it's a parent, child, spouse, brother, or sister. So those are the key things when you're talking about whether you have a conflict of interest or not. The interesting thing about the act is it's kind of self-policing, because each of you, when you vote, may know something, well, it's my brother that has this business or something, and none of us really know that. So in the case that you have a conflict or think you have a conflict, it's always best to bring up the issue. You can talk to me, you can talk to Justin, talk to anybody, and then we could advise you as what you should do under those circumstances. And many times, I think even to avoid the appearance of a conflict of interest. Sometimes I will certainly give you the advice if it approaches what could be a conflict, it's better for you to abstain. No reason to vote on something where the public thinks you're voting on something that may benefit you somehow, because typically our votes are not contentious. Typically, they're unanimous. So if anyone feels that they have a potential conflict because they belong to an organization or something, it's probably better to raise that issue, abstain, fill out the form, and not participate in the vote. So as far as I'm concerned, those are the real two things that the Ethics Act impacts you as elected officials, the requirement to file annually the statement of financial interest, and the ability not to vote and to abstain or recuse if you feel you have a conflict of interest. And I know these are really enthralling and thrilling discussions, but if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
I always have a question. If somebody abstains and then it's found that they didn't need to, do they get a vote, or that's just done, they can't go back?
No, it's kind of too late. Once the vote happens, it's cast. And obviously, if it's a close vote, you'd want to examine the issue if the counselor were permitted to vote or not. But if it's a 7-6-0 vote, one abstention isn't really going to make a difference anyway. But no, once you take the vote's kind of cast in stone.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, thank you. And Mayor.
Yes. Good evening. I will try to be brief. We had a visit from the U.S. Department of Transportation, which I am sure Justin is going to talk about. If not, I'll talk about it Monday. I don't want to throw you under the bus, but it was just really cool that they came out. We are one of like 64 communities in the nation that got this Thriving Communities grant. And it was such a great visit, and seeing, like, they were here for 2-3 days. And at the end of all of that, they stayed later to play with the kids at our play streets. They were like double Dutch, jumping rope, and just out there in their suits. And I was like, this is so great. And they said that they really felt what it was like being in Pottstown. They really felt the love and the community that we've all talked about. So that made me really happy. In line with that, I will be participating in a Week Without Driving campaign, which is from September 30th to October 6th, which is a national movement to encourage people to experience challenges with transportation system. I will present on more that next month, and there's opportunities for other people to join as well. We had our Rotary changeover. I want to thank Dick Franz for stepping up as president and welcome Rich Gray for the new year. And Denise Williams, I mean, she just put on a fantastic June. Between Juneteenth and then the Freedom Rise Gala at Rivet, I mean, I just want to thank her and Be Resilient and all the Juneteenth community partners. It was fantastic. Fantastic. I am so inspired by everything that you do, and you are really just, I love you so much. I mean, we're all out there on Juneteenth. It was like everybody was participating, everybody, and it was so nice to see that. So thank you. And for the schedule, just go on GoForce Facebook page, and there's a schedule for tomorrow. So if you don't know what's going on tomorrow, it is 4th of July. We are here. We are here all day from, like, I don't know what time the run starts at, like, 8 a.m. If you want to run the 5K, then we need to be here for the parade at 10? Dress for the festivities, 10, yes. And then just go on their Facebook page because it's just lays it out for you where you need to be. Hydrate, and enjoy. And I will see you Monday. Thank you.
Good.
Yes.
Mr. Kelly, your report.
Yes, thank you, and good evening, everyone. So just to kind of follow up on what the mayor had said, we were really happy to host the representatives from the Federal Department of Transportation and the consultants from the Thriving Communities program for a 2-day site visit. They toured the town. They also did some workshop sessions with stakeholders as well as elected officials in the middle of June. And I can say that I think the team really liked what they saw here. They saw all the good that we have here now, all the potential that we can have here in the future, and they really just fell in love with the town, to put it straightforwardly. Really appreciated all the great assets, our parks, our wide streets, and then the programs and the organizations as well that work together to make Pottstown a great place to live, work, and play. So over the next several months, they'll be taking feedback that they receive from the community to finalize their scope and implement their work plan, which will help to identify strategic projects and grants that will support equitable transit-oriented design and other important community initiatives. So really positive meeting and a couple days for us to spend with them here. A couple updates I do have for you tonight. The bridge over Manatawny Creek and Riverfront Park is currently closed until a new bridge can be installed. This is due to the deterioration of the concrete decking on the current structure. Fortunately, we do have a grant and the project is already underway to get the new bridge installed. They're fabricating it now, although we do not have a firm estimate for when that will be completed. We hope that it's going to be before October 2024 at the latest. And then also last month, I mentioned that there was going to be a ribbon cutting for the bridge in Memorial Park. That got delayed due to some final punch list items that needed to be worked out. So we'll be advising everyone of a new date for the ribbon cutting soon. Regarding construction projects, this will be one of the busiest summers in recent memory, as the borough and the authority will embark on over half a dozen major projects representing over $8 million in infrastructure investment in the borough this summer. Primarily, these projects are funded by grants. What you see in the roadways right now, much of that is PICO. Those are all separate from the $8 million of borough work that is about to take place. But first, I'll just kind of just run through a list here. Starting this Monday, July 8th, Sachs & Sons will begin milling Mervine Street between North Washington and North Adams for the joint repaving project with Lower Pottsgrove Township. So during the construction, travel lanes will be closed, but the streets will be reopened at the end of each day. And Lower Pottsgrove is working on providing notifications to the residents. Good news in Memorial Park. This week, the bridge opened and the project is now substantially complete. As I mentioned, there will be ribbon cutting soon. This project was valued at around $400,000. On July 15th, the authority's contractor will begin roadway coring in an effort to locate and identify and replace over 200 lead laterals in the borough at a project valued at $2.8 million. Shortly thereafter, the authority will begin its water and sewer main replacement work, valued at $1.7 million, and include the replacement of 1,000 feet of water lines and 1,000 feet of sewer lines, as well as the repaving of about 1 mile of roadway. Also, starting soon will be a $800,000 project to reroute a failing stormwater arch at 1200 High Street. This project was fully grant funded. And then later this summer, the borough will embark on the borough-wide paving project, which will pave about 2.7 miles of borough roadways. This project's valued at $600,000. On the agenda for approval Monday night will be a $400,000 project to upgrade stormwater infrastructure in various parts of town, where we have sump pump drainage that is causing premature deterioration of roadways. So we're hoping to get that done and then come in behind with and do the paving on those streets that are primarily impacted. And then lastly, later on in the year, the airport taxiway paving, that's valued at almost $400,000. That will complete the repaving of all the flight surfaces at the airport. So, as I said, in all, the borough is constructing over, and the authority is constructing over $7 million in infrastructure project this summer. I think it's really a significant achievement and a testament to the dedication of this council and then the hard work put in by the staff and the consultants to make all these projects happen. So just really appreciative for all that. And then lastly, as you know, Peggy will not be here tonight to speak on paid or the bid, but she will speak on that on Monday night. But the proposal to form the bid has been withdrawn at this time, and the team is reevaluating the proposal for possible consideration sometime later in the future. So there's no need for owners to send in a vote or anything like that, because we really took to heart the feedback we got from the property owners and decided to withdraw at this time. That concludes my report.
Very good, thank you. Next item would be number 12, and that is being tabled. We'll discuss that at a later date. Number 13 is 67 Walnut. Mr. Gardner.
Yeah, thank you, Dan. This is what I consider probably a minor matter, but because Borough Council has control of its right-of-way, it requires Borough Council action. A property at 67 Walnut Street is in the process of being rehabilitated. As it's being rehabilitated, there is need to install small sets of steps at these doors of the property because of the existing location of the buildings and the width of a right-of-way. Even the small steps would encroach in the borough right-of-way further. The sidewalk will still have 4 feet of clearance beyond the steps. The property owners have signed a release and hold harmless to the borough, understanding that they need council approval in order to do this. So unless there's questions, this would be listed Monday night for borough approval to allow the further encroachment into the borough right-of-way.
The only thing that came in my mind whenever I read that was, because I guess inside the verbiage, the contractor waive any rights for anyone to sue the borough.
Correct.
The thing is, if someone were to trip over that step and they sue the contractor, because the verbiage of contractor, you can't sue the borough.
Correct.
But that doesn't stop the person from suing the borough.
It doesn't stop the borough from suing the borough, but the contractor is required to indemnify us against any losses and defend us if we get sued.
Okay, so if we do get sued, then the contractor's responsible for any
Well,
awards or
actually, it's the property owner at this
the
point.
property?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But yes, we're protected.
But then we still have the 4 feet clearance, so
Yes.
that's pretty much.
Yeah, the concern was always accessibility. There is actually a set of steps on one of the doors now that already exist. They're adding several other sets. So again, at this point, we wanted to make sure that they understood they're within the right-of-way. They really could do nothing. Any extension of the existing building would be encroaching into the right-of-way further, Joe. So there's nothing, either they do it or they don't. And again, we're protected.
Any other questions? All right, we'll list that for Monday. 14, the 2023 Borough Audit Approval.
Yes, thank you. Before I move on to that, just one update. The Memorial Park Bridge is not open yet, but it's very close. So we'll let you know as soon as it gets open. I just had an update come in. On to the audit. So Malley LLP audited the financial statements of the governmental activities, business type activities, the component units in each major fund, and the aggregate remaining fund information for the borough of Pottstown. And as of the year ended December 31st, 2023, the financial statements are presented fairly in all material respect, and the audit was conducted in accordance with auditing standards generally accepted in the United States, and there were 0 findings. So that's the summary of the report from the auditors. You do have the audit here with you tonight for you, and I suggest you take a look at that, and we will be asking for your approval on Monday.
Very good. So we'll list that. Where are we? 15. You want to request for an RFP?
So, yes, we would like to seek permission on Monday night to issue an RFP for auditing services, and not necessarily that we're unhappy with who we have now, but it's been over 6 years since we've went out for these services, and we want to ensure that we're getting the best services for the most competitive price possible.
Right. If there are no questions, we'll list that for Monday. And an RFP for Pollock Park. You have that?
Yes, so that will be a recommendation, and we're asking actually for a vote on that tonight. So if you recall, this project was funded through the EPA. The EPA has strict guidelines for that mandates the borough to issue an RFP for the environmental and civil engineering services to do the actual environmental cleanup work at the park. And they have criteria, so our team went through, reviewed that criteria, and we are recommending Carroll Engineering. They scored highest based on the EPA criteria, but they also happen to be the lowest price. So we kind of got the best of both worlds on that. So a little bit different. We want to try to get the ball rolling on that project, so we are actually asking for a vote to approve the engineering contract to Carroll Engineering.
Okay.
So Dan, I'm going to suggest that we hold that till after comments from citizens present. That'll give them the opportunity to comment if they wish on that topic, and then the vote can occur before we adjourn the meeting.
Okay.
On that motion, if the council's inclined to make it.
Fine. So move on for Television contract renewal. Mr. Garner.
Yes, Television has been our operator of PCTV, I think, since 2012. Obviously, there's been no complaints or concerns from the borough end with the operation of our stations. The current contract would expire the end of July. It's been extended a number of times. We're presenting or suggesting that the extension occur for another 2 years under the same terms and conditions, so we would go till, I believe, the end of August of 2026. So that'll be listed if you're inclined to take a vote on that. And Mr. Tellis, I think hopefully the document was shared with you, so you're okay with that, and it'll be ready for Monday.
Okay, we'll add that for Monday. Tellis. And we have a bid award for 1200 High Street Stormwater.
We had a fairly good response to that. We're still reviewing the bid tabulations there, but we're happy with the spread on the pricing, so we'll have a recommendation for you on Monday night.
For Monday, good. And for the stormwater inlets, how about that?
This will be ready for you Monday night as well. We'll have a recommendation for you.
Okay. And Mr. Garner, we're amending the Animal Control Office contract.
Yes, Mr. Wien, that's the request, and I think you may have some information in your packet.
Yes.
If council recalled, I guess it was earlier, probably the beginning of this year, we had amended the contract, which provided the borough a service credit because the ACO received one of the borough vehicles. The ACO has requested that for purposes of future payment, the borough would still receive its full credit for the vehicle, but asked that it be divided up on a quarterly basis so that half of the amount is paid in cash and the other half is credited towards the vehicle. So it would extend the credit longer, but it improves the cash flow of the ACO. So there's really no direct harm to the borough. The amendment has been signed by the ACO. It's ready for you to consider on Monday night if you're inclined to do that.
Okay, any discussion on this? Seeing none, we'll list that for Monday. 21 is a street closure. Mr. Garner.
Yes, thank you. This will be for National Night Out, and Victory Christian Life Center would like to do this August 6th from 4 p.m. to 8:30. This will be North Washington Street between Chestnut and Walnut.
Okay. And we do this every year. 22 is a street closure for Belmont.
And the Belmont Block Party's back. August 3rd, rain date August 4th, 4 p.m. to 9 p.m. And this will be a street closure for Belmont Street between 8th Street and Reynolds Street.
Okay. We'll list that one as well. Discussion on the policy to retain borough records. Now, this is a change. You'll take that?
Yeah, I'll take that. Believe it or not, we're running out of storage space in Borough Hall for all our paper records. Under the Law and Municipal Records Retention Act, you're permitted to store records electronically and eventually discard the paper copies. Licensing inspection is running out of room, and they've made the request that we start considering that process. We can't do that until council decides that it's appropriate, and a resolution would have to be prepared, but we wanted to take your temperature to see if you're inclined to allow us to start that process. And if you are, we'll prepare the appropriate resolution. It will include what records are stored electronically. It will require ultimately the destruction of some paper records, but everything will be done pursuant to the Records Retention Manual. But we didn't want to get started if you had any reservation. But obviously, if we don't have room in Borough Hall, you're going to have to find other space if you won't allow some paper records to eventually be destroyed. Comments?
Any questions, comments?
No, I'm all for sending things electronic. I work on electronic medical records. We shouldn't have much of paper anymore, though you want to make sure your security is good around your paperwork.
Okay, then we'll list that for Monday.
That'll just be a general motion to start the process before anything happens with records being destroyed. There'll be a resolution presented to you to allow us to do that.
Okay. Upcoming board vacancies. EAC, we have an opening for one 3-year term to expire August 10th, 2024. Construction Code Board of Appeals, one 3-year term to expire August 8th, 2024. Okay, we'll let the citizens comment and then we'll come back.
All right, so just a reminder, everyone will have 5 minutes. We do have a timer. Yellow light comes on at 30 seconds. Red light is when you have to be done. So first up is Denise Williams, please.
Good evening, everyone. Council, Madam Mayor, I just wanted to first say thank you for your support for the Juneteenth Festival, and I wanted to be able to tell you that this year, Pottstown's Juneteenth Planning Committee was awarded the Voices Underground Juneteenth Grant of $5,000. And let me just tell you a little bit about that grant. So the Journeying Towards Freedom is an initiative created by Voices Underground in the Pennsylvania Office of Marketing, Tourism, and Film to promote the celebration of Juneteenth across the state of Pennsylvania. The goal of this initiative is to promote African American cultural heritage in Pennsylvania, nurture community collaboration, expand the community narrative about itself, and leaven the national conversation about African American cultural history. By receiving these grants, we have been identified as part of the statewide Journey Towards Freedom campaign, and we will be featured in the state's first Journeying Towards Freedom film or narrative. So that's really big. I wanted to tell you that because that means that Juneteenth was huge. Let me tell you a few things that on the surface, everybody had fun and enjoyed themselves. However, let me tell you some things that took place behind the scenes. So we had 74 organizations and businesses represented. As of 1 o'clock, all the 400 free ice creams was given away. We have an estimate of 500 to 1,000 people were in attendance at our peak hour. Raised enough funds for 13 students, not 7, 13 students to receive $500 scholarships. Throughout the day, there was opportunities for mentorship through Strive, and we had 15 students participate in that. We had 20 community members just do community hour services. We supported minority-owned businesses through the event. We provided them resources for things such as the chamber and other paid and other organizations within the community to help those organizations. Our next year's scholarships will be $900. So this, at the Freedom Rise Gala, we auctioned, we had a live artist. And during that time, we auctioned off the art. That art piece sold for $900. So that started the fund for next year. So next year, 7 participant, 7 awardees will receive a $900 scholarship. And I think I mentioned to you guys before that the goal is for 7 scholarships to be presented for 1865. So we are on the right track to be able to do that. Funds are still being calculated because for the funds that we are going to be able to give Welcome to the Ave, we have a few more outstanding things to take care of, but our anticipated goal is that we are going to be able to give them about $2,000 or more based on the money that was raised for them as well. So not only did we have a huge gathering, we saw the Kids Zone. Kids Zone was popping. We had Bluey, we had Elmo. If you guys missed it, I'm telling you, there was a petting zoo. It was a 360 machine. Go on Face. It was so many things. But the thing that I think the pictures show the most is the families and the community coming together, the smiles, the people, some of the comments that I have received is that people have saw people that they haven't seen in years. They saw that there was a glimpse of hope. And so I'm really thankful for the collaborating organizations. There was 8 collaborating organizations that stood behind this as well. We had a wealth of small business sponsors. We had a wealth of sponsors that made this happen. Was not just a one-person thing. This was truly a community event and a community collaboration to have this happen. And I just want to say thank you because I was really nervous coming in here and saying, hey guys, I want to shut down 3 streets. But you guys were really able to allow me to do that. I hope you enjoy. That is terrible. I hope you enjoy.
Right?
That's
Right?
not fair.
It's Simon.
That's terrible. Nobody else got that. It says I'm the first
This
one to
is a
get it.
Justin thing. This
It's
is a
not.
Justin. You see a smile. You see the smile?
Bad,
Do you
bad.
see it?
Well, I can't use any more time. It's going to be red. The bag, I wanted to give each of you a bag since some of our stores are going paper bagless. You now have the first Pottstown 2024 Community Juneteenth Celebration bag, canvas bag for you to use.
Really?
See?
The smile on his face
I
is
know.
bright. It's like
priceless.
Christmas. Like,
So,
damn.
I
Thank
hope-
you.
Girl, it's terrible.
No, thank you so much. I
Thank
appreciate each of
you.
you. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right,
There you go,
next,
Zach.
Yes.
See, it's
next we have Doug Slick, please.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for your time, as always. Second, the fact that Juneteenth was amazing. I was there. It was a great event, great event. My happy story for tonight is actually in the future, what's going to happen tomorrow as our charming borough celebrates July 4th. So it's always a great time and really well attended, so looking forward to that. Housing is a human right. Per the Administrative Office of Pennsylvania Courts, there were 848 eviction notices filed in Pottstown from July of 22 until June of 23. That number was 848. Legal Aid of Southeastern Pennsylvania has been contacted by 120 citizens here in Pottstown to litigate eviction notices since January of this year. That number was 120. 8 more came in just this week since they calculated through to June. One is a 77-year-old woman who has 30 days to vacate her home that she's lived in for 30 years. She has nowhere to go. One is another senior citizen scheduled for surgery, yet she has a notice to vacate by the end of July. Frequently, our citizens can't afford their rent when it's tripled by an investor who purchases the home and plans to remodel. The people living in the woods and on the streets of our town are our residents, many of them forced out of their homes in just this way. The people working $15 an hour jobs here in Pottstown can't afford to live here. The actions of our community reflect our values. Do we want society to see a reflection of compassion and problem solving, or do we want to be the community that simply pushes the issue down the road to the neighbor? I'm confident that the majority of Pottstown residents want the former, not the latter. Let's make some real progress on finding housing for our unhoused citizens and create housing that is affordable for those who staff the hospital, keep the Wawa humming, and stock the shelves at the Giant. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. All right, next up, we have Tom Nyros.
If my son was still here, he would love that.
That's what it's for, yeah.
I probably would have gave it to him.
Yeah.
At this point.
So that was a segue. So I'm here to announce that we finally signed our settlement paperwork for the property on West High Street. So, we are extremely happy about that. It's been 2 years of title issues and lawyer fees and just waiting it out. So we have finally signed that yesterday, and just extremely grateful for the Pottstown community, Pottstown leadership, those who, just really stood behind us and want to see this go forward as a community response to a community need. So I just wanted to, again, thank you all, thank the community, everybody who has stood behind us. I firmly believe what Doug said, that the majority of our community wants to see people inside, off the street. We all have different reasons or ways to get there, but this is a step towards that goal, that community goal. And again, just thank you guys.
Congrats.
All right, next, we have a resident from 1000 Queen Street. Could you just state your name for us?
Hi, my name is Jerry Livergood, and I live at 1000 Queen Street, apartment 2. The first problem I have is the numerous drug activity that's in my building, that I've had major complaints that I filed into. Number 2, when I moved in there in April, is anybody an architect? You're an architect? The floorboards in my closet had broken. So the building was built in 1908. So you have the bearing wall going.
You talking to Mike?
I'm sorry, you have the bearing wall going from side to side. And then in the back of my bedroom, you have 7 joists that go out. They're apart from the bearing wall. They're separated from the bearing wall. That's structural. So I called the landlord, and of course, I'm with Permanent Supportive Housing. My case manager's name is Brittany. So when I talked to the borough about it, I don't think they understood quite what I meant, but I have 30 years of construction experience. I can read blueprints, I can do all that. I can build a whole engine, I'm just very smart. So they actually came in and replaced the floor. They didn't put no lawn, they didn't put no paper, and the rafters that are separated from the bearing wall are 4.5 inches. They put a piece of pergo in that 4.5-inch space with no support. And the borough passed it. So I've tried to reach out many, many times about the safety of my building. Inside my room, they have, I don't know if you guys are familiar the way the buildings were built in 1908, but the way that they were built is the walnut is actually tied in with the trim on the inside to hold the floor in. And my building is so old that it actually has the brass behind the doors for the walnut for heat and cold. So in my room, the trim is sticking out this much because when they laid the drywall, all the plaster and lath came down. And it's now sticking out. The only reason why it hasn't given is because it's tucked on the inside floor. That's the way those houses were built in the 1900s. So it's one of those things where I tried to explain, and not everybody gets me, but the structure of that building is not good. It's termite infested. The rafters are, you know what I mean, from right to left. You have a bearing wall here, and then you have rafters that go out. There's 7 of them that are separated that much. So I tried to talk to the borough about it. They replaced the floor. You go in my closet, you can feel that there's no support, and they actually passed it. So that's why I'm here, because of the safety of my building. And it is infested with termites.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, that concludes public comment.
Okay, we're going to step back to number 16, the RFP award.
Yeah, so is there a suggested motion to award the professional service contract for Pollock Park to Carroll Engineering in the amount of $49,300? That would be council motion.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And motion carries. Okay, it's citizens now.
Counselors? Nothing? Okay, Counselor Trinity.
Okay, I'm gonna chime in on the mayor. Denise did a wonderful job with Juneteenth, her and her crew. Troy, everybody did a wonderful job. It was really nice. The gala it was nice too. I liked the gala. We had a good time at the gala. The food was amazing, wasn't it good? But everything was nice. We had a good time at the gala. You got dressed up and you wore sneakers, so that was cute. I went to PSB Naturals ribbon cutting ceremony. They had a really good turnout at the ribbon cutting ceremony. That was a lot of people. I bought some stuff. I waited in line for like 30 minutes. That's how the line was. It was really good. It was a nice turnout for them. And I also went to the Alley Arts and Craft event, the Soapbox. I was busy this month. I had a good schedule this month. You could tell because I did a lot of stuff. Went to the Rumble. It was hot. I went to the Rumble one day. And Play Streets. I got to go to Play Streets. So now I'm gonna talk about Go Forth. On tomorrow, so don't worry about parking. There's no ticketing on parking, so we good. But Friday, we're back at ticketing, so don't get your car now. Don't leave it, okay? Because you be out there. Let's see, I said Play Streets. Oh, and I want to thank Gus and John Amato for inviting me to be a co-announcer on the 2024 Pottstown Parade. So I'll be co-hosting with John, and y'all know I'm gonna act up, right? Y'all know I'm gonna act up with that mic. But anyway, I'm gonna be a co-host. I'm gonna do what I can do at the parade, and come visit me. I'll be down at the kids zone also, but I'll be going back and forth. So it's gonna be a good time out there. So I hope everybody enjoy themselves at the parade and the street fest and the fireworks, and be safe. I'm done.
Thank you. Counselor Labedinsky. Counselor Bonnie.
Oh, yes. So I'm excited for tomorrow, but something interesting happened. Something was agreed upon in pre-agenda 2 months ago, and I found out it was to let West Pottsgrove come and make a presentation to all of council, so all of council could hear them. It was agreed upon. And then, after regional planning, I got a phone call from West Pottsgrove telling me that their idea was dumb and they cannot come to the meeting. And they had some really nice things to say about me, my opinions, and who actually makes all the decisions. So I'd like to make a motion to add a vote to Monday's meeting to whether or not West Pottsgrove can come speak. So I would like to make a motion to add to Monday night's agenda to let West Pottsgrove come speak.
Second, third, fourth. It don't matter if they come back there.
I made a motion to add to Monday night's agenda
Come in.
for us to vote to let West Pottsgrove speak to all of council. It doesn't matter to me really what they're saying. We have an obligation to try to work with neighboring townships and not shut them down at the gate. And I believe in almost every situation, people have a right to have their voice heard and get to address all of council.
So this is just a procedural issue. I wouldn't recommend there be a motion or a vote tonight, but if the request is to add something to Monday night's agenda, it can be added and voted upon Monday night as to whether or not you support or oppose whatever the motion is. So there's where you are. Councilor Proskauer.
Neighboring borough or municipality wants to speak to us, I don't see why we should listen to them.
Well, if we discuss it Monday.
I don't understand.
Anyway, I was just, I didn't know Chief Rogers well, but I think I've known his son ever since I moved here. He'd be the, I guess, the eldest of the seniors. Yeah, really nice guy. I remember I didn't really know anybody. I'd be walking my dog. He lives maybe like about a block north of me, and then he'd always come, stop me and say hello, and he always asked me how my boys are doing. And if his dad was anything like him, he must have been a really good guy. Okay, I'm looking forward to the 4th too, of course.
Mayor Henry. Nothing more. Okay, first and foremost, tomorrow is July 4th. Go Forth has put forth a lot of effort, raised a lot of money to provide the best fireworks you could possibly see tomorrow. There's no need for you to set off your own fireworks on your own yard. There are safety issues. There are many people with pets that can't tolerate the sound. It's just not good practice. Number 2, tomorrow's July 4th, when we're going to celebrate our independence from a king. Please come out, forget all the festivities, think about this. Our forefathers worked hard to keep us independent, and we should do the same. Meeting adjourned.